talk. Could be, maybe I should rename this Tat Chat.
There's no one here yet. You've got to wait till people join, and it will show the numbers at the top.
Yep. Yes, boss. All right. So, hi, a few people. We've got a few people joining us tonight. We're going to have a good chat with my mate Moony, who runs quite a few studios out west. He's president of the PTAA. He's a former serviceman in the army. He's got a real interesting history, and he also, I mentioned a few nights ago, he's obviously now president of the PTAA, but he joined it before it was, cool or fashionable to support tattooing, and he's done a lot of work behind the scenes for it. So we're going to ask him a few questions and get some answers. So again, tonight, if anyone wants to ask a question, please do so, and we'll try and get to as many of them as we can. I'm just going to invite Moony in now. Here we go. So, another day, another lot of cases. We'll see what tomorrow brings. So he should be here any minute now. Oh, my technical abilities, failing as always. Cool. I'll get there. I'm flying solo tonight. I don't have the IT person. I'm going to have to be embarrassed and call it. Hey, Salmon, I need your technical abilities, please. Hold on, Moony. I'm coming, mate. So basically, okay, this is a Tat Chat from 1991. So this is a little insight into what the PTA puts out. We all get like a monthly or quarterly now. Big Pete, Brisbane Tattoo Show. So we still get these today, and they've been done for quite a long time. All right, so I just press that one on the bottom.
Yeah.
Invite.
Yeah. What's his name on there?
Moony Tattoo there.
Just type in.
There we go. Send request. We'll get there, mate. I'll learn this sooner or later. Hopefully over the coming. Oh, here we go. Nice, mate. I got there in the end.
I couldn't get you on the computer, so this is on my phone. So I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, we can see you, mate. We can hear you, so that's all good.
All right, cool. I'll just try
to... Where are you? I'll learn this sooner or later. Where are you coming to us from tonight?
I'm inside our Penrith Crossbones shop.
Nice.
Sitting in the office here by myself. It's like a ghost town. It's surreal.
Yeah, it's pretty mad, isn't it? I think we got a little bit longer for this stuff to go as well.
Yeah, it's pretty unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's downright disheartening when they throw a date at you and then renege on it.
Oh yeah. The whole rhetoric's changing now as well. Like it's a whole new animal this time round.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, enough doom and gloom stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff, mate. So thanks for coming on tonight. It's one I've been looking forward to. Like I've known you quite a few years now, like inside tattooing and out. And I think, tonight's going to be a good one. So to start off, I sort of always do the usual thing. Like, what was your first interest in tattooing, and what was your first tattoo?
Growing up as a kid, my old man had a lot of Tony Cohen work that was done in the single fibro garage at St Mary's.
Amazing.
He also had a couple by Alex Painless Chater.
Yep.
I may have covered a few of those tattoos up in later on, but
yep.
I sort of, was always seeing them. A lot of the local footy team and my dad's mates that used to go from Warragamba, where I'm from, travel to St Mary's and get tattooed.
Yeah.
So sort of always saw it, always interested as a kid, always drawing.
Yep.
You know, sort of fantasy art, you know, heavy metal magazine, White Dwarf, like
Yep.
album covers, you know, all that kind of stuff. Typical boy stuff, you know, monsters and Vikings.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yep. Yeah, amazing, amazing. Who did your first tattoo for you?
My first tattoo was done at Sleeve Masters, underage.
Yep.
Like the night before I joined the army, I think.
Yeah, amazing.
And now the guy, I swear upon my grave, and me, Jeff, and Greg have even debated it all. But the guy business card and said his name was Gary. But I got who did it.
Gary Winter, was he English?
No idea. He didn't say 2 words to me.
Okay.
No,
it might have been, yeah, because there was an English artist that worked there for a while called Gary Winter.
Okay.
Maybe. If he didn't speak, you wouldn't have got the accent.
No, it was one of those blam bam, thank you ma'am type arrangements. You know, the price on the wall was for the outline and black shading only, no colour. That's really the way it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was saying to someone recently, like, you know, a lot of tattoo shops in the 80s, 90s, even maybe 2000s, you know, when you had your designs on the wall, you could just get the outline only, and that was half price.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Well, in Melbourne, that was super common when I grew up.
Yeah, and the outlines, you know, were a basic guideline. You know, you'd leave it too back in them days. You could get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you joined the army, and obviously, you know, the military, the Navy, they've always had a lot of, you know, tattooed servicemen and servicewomen. Did you get more tattoos while you were in the army?
Yeah, I was down around Albury Wodonga area, and I used to get tattooed by Peter Kemner.
Right.
Another guy came over from South Australia, Grizz, and set up with him. A fella named Sharky, you know, and they had a shop down there called Wizards of Ink, you know, and all the servicemen got tattooed there. That was sort of a rite of passage down that way, sort of right on the border, you know. The typical scene of, you know, soldiers, bikers, knockabouts.
Yeah, all the good stuff, mate. Like, you know, back when, you know, tattoo shops were kind of like the scariest pub in town. You'd walk in, you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. But that was part of the excitement and the journey, and
sure,
that was it.
Yeah, the thrill. Like I clearly remember, like, you know, heart racing before you walked into a tattoo shop first couple of times, and you know, then the smell of antiseptic and cool music playing. If you were lucky, there was like a Tirana or a Monaro parked out the front. You know, mullets all around. It was an amazing time.
I remember going with a couple of, like, a best mate in the army and his brother down to a little country town in Victoria, hole in the wall shop where everything was hand drawn, and it was very poor. And you know, them days it was nothing to just warm water and Dettol in a jam jar in between clients. Stop halfway through the tattoo because he needed a shit. Door, and then you can hear him behind a thin plywood wall, like more than a foot away from where you're sitting, taking a dump. And then I can't tell you even who did that tattoo, but when it was done, and I looked in the mirror, and I was getting, you know, the classic sort of Thor Viking head with a, you know, winged helmet, sort of. I'm looked at it and I'm like, oh, the hair's meant to be yellow, like he's meant to be blonde, and it was all grey and blonde. Oh, fuck! I ran out. So.
Not much of a complaints department back then.
No. Was, and you know, I sort of liked it. It drew me in. I got more, you know.
So, when did you start tattooing? While you were still in the army, or when you finished up your time?
No, I was still in the army up Holsworthy Barracks. So when we were up there, it was nothing to duck over. We used to drink at the Golden Fleece, which was an early opener across the road from Dutchy's shop.
Yeah.
There. Like I got my hands on some equipment through a backyarder. Long story short, he needed money to go overseas. His tickets were bought, everything. He needed the money. He'd seen some airbrushing I'd done for one of my neighbours, and was always sort of interested in that. And then when he wanted to sell all his equipment, he asked me, did I want to buy it? So I think I scrounged $800.
Yep. Me
and my dad went around, snabbled up everything he had, got like a 40-minute lesson, and I was away.
Amazing.
Yeah. Like within a week, I tattooed, an army mate and dad, and I still remember, my dad's telling me, nah, that doesn't feel right. And next he's like, whoa, that's too deep, back off. You do it. And from then on, I would, I was tattooing guys that knew what they were up for. I was knocking off payday, setting up in the lunchroom on the army barracks, tattooing Navy army guys, tattooing biker guys on the weekend. Everyone knew what they were up for, and that's how that's how I cut my teeth.
Yeah, amazing.
So.
And then what was the next step from the base?
I got medically discharged from the army at a later point.
Yep.
And I spent 12 months on the lounge not knowing what to do with myself.
Yep.
And I'd have mates hit me up for a tattoo here and there, and I sort of said, well, I'm going to pursue this and, get into it. So I just slowly got into it more and more. To the point where I thought I was doing good.
Yeah, and all your mates do too.
That's right. Yeah. They knew what they were happy with it all. I thought I was good. Eventually, I sort of had a home studio, and I'll be honest, it was better than a lot of real studios. Yep. So I'd had some medical training, and trauma training and combat medic stuff, and I knew about sterilization. So it was all above board and safe.
And I imagine one of the things from, military, you understand discipline and procedures. So you would have run like a pretty tight ship.
Oh, yeah, sometimes, but I was drunk half the time.
Yeah. Responsibly.
Yeah. No, sort of it. And then, the long story short, I tried to join the PTAA Johnny Entwistle in Punt Road down there in Melbourne. Yep. He gave me Patsy's contact. Yep. I rang up Patsy Farrow and told her to go. I want to be professional. I want to advance myself. I want to do this and that. I explained to her that my studio hadn't been inspected by the health department and all that kind of stuff yet. And basically she told me to... So, so that relationship started with me and her. Yeah. So from there, I was like a bit bewildered. What's the next step? Yeah. And I needed to get my foot in a professional studio. I needed to work with people to advance and learn, and and then from there it sort of moved on. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to jump in here. Gummy's just commented, congratulations on becoming the president of the PTAA. Amazing.
Thank you.
So we'll get more into that later on. Where did you the photo in the IG in the promo video of you standing outside a shop, was that the first shop you worked in?
No, that's a second war paint shop. I worked at the original war paint down near the train station on Queen Street. Yep. Initially, I started just a hang around period. There was no chair or shift available. I hung around for a couple of weeks, and then eventually I was asked, could I draw this up for a couple? Yep. I drew the design up. They said, "Oh, can you tattoo it?" I said, "Yeah, no worries."
Yep.
Tattoo morning. Then the guy went upstairs where the boss and his family lived, and it was scrutinised by everyone that worked there, and
Yep.
the owners and the family and everything. And then they said, "When can you start?" I said, "Whenever you want."
Yep.
The next day, I had an in tray with all the designs printed out, everything ready to go, and I was away.
Nice.
I did more tattoos in the first day than I'd done in 4 or 5 months. Backyard.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, in the deep end, but stepping it up, something to prove, and
yeah, and it just snowballed from there. Like some people you work with, they're fantastic tattooers, or they've got the gift of the gab, but some of them aren't teachers and won't teach you anything, or can't, or don't know how to explain. But you need to develop the relationship between yourself and another artist.
Yep.
And backwards and forwards, So the newest, freshest guy or girl can teach the old dog a trick,
100%.
And that's all. So then I just pursued, learning, watching, immerse myself in everything I could. I mean, you got to remember that, like, I'm an old fart, but I didn't have a phone until I was in my 30s.
Yeah. Yep.
It was a brick phone. I didn't have the internet at home, or anything like this. My inspiration and stuff came from the walls of tattoo shops, came from magazines.
Yep.
That's about it. There was a couple of VHS tapes you could get that were sort of tattoo heavy, and they were probably like outlaw biker ones from the States or something. There wasn't much around. To visually look at.
Yeah, and even then, like your peer group as well. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I know, when I was in Melbourne, most shops had maybe 2-3 people in them, and that was it. Like, you didn't have, like, now it's kind of standard for most shops to run around 10. So these days there's a lot greater, sort of gene pool to try and get information from. I think it was your tattoo magazines. Tony Cohen had Tony's Tats Out, your picture magazine, and like you said, some Live to Ride, a few other magazines, and that was it.
The advancement now for young guys and girls getting in, 2 years, 3 years in, they're doing stuff we could not even think about doing for the first 5, 6 years, just because it's right there, it's there ready to be lapped up, I remember, like you were saying about studios being 2 guys, maybe 3, and they were worried that if someone came in and started taking customers, that they weren't going to get their quota that week, and there, so you had a hard time, the cards sort of fell in my favour. Some of the people I was working with, end up in jail, end up punching on with their missus in the shop and getting sacked or whatever. And next thing you know, I'm there and I'm just sort of like picking up more and more shifts and doing more and more work, and it just grew on from there. Then we got a few more people in, and then we expanded and we opened a shop on High Street, Penrith, in Dominic's old studio.
Okay,
It was a unit next door to Dominic's old studio, which had been closed for quite a few years. And we set up there for a little while, gave it a run, and things were working out good. So we got a slightly bigger studio. And, and the same, progressed from 2 guys, 2 bays, and within 5 years had 4 bays.
Nice.
Just slowly moved it along like that.
But even back then, like your bay, there was massage tables didn't exist, did they?
Well, no. The early days it was dental chairs.
Yeah.
The really old cast iron hydraulic styles. If you took the arms and the foot rest off them, you could get them really high, so you could get a tramp stamp, here in front.
You
could lay them out flat. They were pretty handy, very heavy, but they did the job.
Well, even just to let people know, like even to get an armrest back then, you pretty much had to have it custom made. It wasn't like you couldn't just call up ProTad or you get them off eBay. A lot of them were custom made by someone you knew, a welder, or if there was a customer or a friend of a friend.
Yeah, and to deck out a studio, it was a scramble of secondhand fittings from old doctors' surgeries, or
Yep.
like you may do with whatever you could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
even go on.
so with all that, let's progress forward. So how did you end up going out on your own to doing Crossbones? If that's the correct timeline, or did you go to another studio after this one?
That's the way it happened. Things at that business there weren't going the way I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to move in a different direction.
Yeah.
And me and my good friend, who's my business partner now in the Crossbones sort of thing, at Instagram. We sort of made it clear that we wanted to move on and whatnot, and we didn't have a time frame and we didn't have anywhere to go, but we're just letting
being decent humans.
And then eventually, a couple of weeks later, we were out the door.
Yeah, right.
Like, what's going to go on here? So we had to scramble.
Yep.
So, we sort of had a vision for a more progressive style of business, and we wanted to branch out into other businesses because, like, Vinny's a graphic designer.
Yep.
At the time, my son Josh was doing signage and graphic design at TAFE.
Yep.
So we sort of wanted to mix it up and do something different, and that's how Crossbones came about.
Yeah, amazing. What I'm going to do, mate, we're getting a flood of love hearts and comments and stuff. So I'm just going to acknowledge a bunch of people here and say hi. So we've got blah blah blah. We've got Looking Sharp Lads. We've got Andrew 171. Hey guys, time for bed. Best flat top in the game. We've got another one. Jade Lewis, Looking Good Moony. Eating stacks of snacks, gorilla tattoos. Jay Evans, go Moony. So like, what I love about you as well, Moony, is your there's so many. Here we go, Eldorado, Papa Moony. You're loved by everyone, young and old, which is no mean feat these days. But I think a lot of that is because people can see how genuine you are, how much you love tattooing, and how much you put into it. And like you and Vinny, what you've created and treat your staff and customers and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we've realised a long time ago you can have the best artists in the world, but if they're an asshole,
they're
not going to go far. This is a customer service industry. It's not about the artist's ego. You can get your gratification however you wish, but in a professional studio environment, it's an interaction between the artist, the client. It's like a commissioned artwork. And there's boundaries, and you have to respect the customer's boundaries. If you're not willing to, well, then you don't deal with that customer. We're a grassroots out in the suburbs here. It's working class. Everybody, works. There's a hell of a lot of tattooing going on out in Western Sydney. And we love tattooing, and that's why we do it. So we try to instill the same ethos in staff, juniors, apprentices, whatever we've got going. And we get, we want the good guys and the good girls on our side. So that's what.
Yeah, that you have, mate. It's and it shows. So can you give us a little bit of the evolution of Crossbones and what you and Vinny have created and is continuing to evolve? Because I know you had a lot of issues with your first studio with the council and stuff, and you're in Penrith High Street now, which was that the old Fat Tats?
Yes, yeah. The licensing system, shook up the whole game. Places were getting shut down, losing their licenses, whatever. We approached everyone locally, in respect to opening a studio in the area, because we're sort of born and bred out here, and all our clients are out here. And we made the decision to not do it in the high street in the CBD. Move away to do more of a private by appointment only tattooing set up at Crossbones, and that's what we aim for. But somehow the powers to be, council didn't like it. People put in complaints. We were hard with a different brush. We spent 5 years fighting with them, going to the Land and Environment Court, and during that 5-year period, Fat Tats, the old Fat Tats premises, which had a DA, was empty. So I approached Nick, who used to work there and everything, and asked him would he mind if we took a lease out. And they were more than accommodating and said no problem. So we moved in, and so the high street premises was always a plan B in case we didn't win this 5-year court battle. And that's what it is. So we lost like our function of, we were a sullen clothing distributor with screen printing and heat pressing. We were printing vinyl, doing signage, banners. We had gallery space, and we would do some art shows. In moving to High Street, we lost all that side of the business, and we're just basically back to being a tattoo shop in Bones. However, we've got a really broad range. So we operate with walk-in tattoos and whatnot, but we've got a really versatile crew here, and guys and girls that have got 10, 13, 14 years under their belt, as well as some juniors. We can cover all the bases. That's what we want to cross.
Because like you mentioned before, your son Josh, like he's obviously out of his apprenticeship now, I would imagine. And doing some great work. Who else is there? Isn't Dean's cousin working with you as well?
Dean's cousin at Pay Tattoo. He works at Death or Glory. St Mary's one, and that's the same. That's the old Stingers studio. And when licensing ended that, I sort of struck up a deal and bought the fittings and the over the lease and whatever there, set up as a different brand. And that's again a nice little crew in a well-established situation. Like Stingers was there for 17 years. Good who worked there for about 15 years. He's sort of like the manager for me over there. We've been mates for over 10 years. And that's also something that a lot of people don't understand. Like, at Queen Street Strip, you had war paint at the station. Right? We had a methadone clinic, brothel upstairs, the tattoo shop, then the pub, and then the other end of the street, you had Stingers with a brothel upstairs, and we were no way enemies. We used to ring each other and talk to each other, and walk up the road and have a sambuca, or we were actually all pretty tight, all the shops out here. So
amazing. I'm gonna a few more comments because there's some good ones coming through. Foot Benno's gone. Or me. Oh, that must be in regard to the armrests. Glenn Warren sword. Miss you, Mooney. Alex Rusty's gone. Barstool. Rose has gone. The Crossbones. Ink Moto. Mooney's a legend. The other son, Sam. Proud of your dad. Tattoos by James is like real tattooing right there. Time for bed. I can't quite pronounce this. I can't see it properly. I was heartbroken to miss my time with you last week, Mooney. Skin Cream, great to see you both. Should do more of these. Casey Williams, good man, good crew. I won't get tattooed anywhere else but Crossbones or Guerrilla Art Society. So you've got such a loyal following out west. And then Ems Rose has gone, not to mention the amazing fundraising things you've done for the local community. So that was a sad thing when the original Crossbones shut down because, apart from all of those other outlets, you've always been one to give back, but the community's at a loss now. So
we really try to involve the communities in our goings on, vice versa. You know, we sponsor football, soccer, even we've sponsored a sprint car team. We try. We're taking something from everyone, and we try to give. That's one of my things. There's plenty to go around. We've done a couple of big fundraiser days. You know, one year we raised $40,000 to buy a humidity crib for the local NIC unit. You know,
yeah, amazing.
one day. You know,
And that's no mean feat. That's all of your extra time that you put in, or your crew, all the other people that would be associated with the studio. And I imagine you would have, you know, a lot of your customers and friends just volunteering their time to be part of it as well.
We've like the studios have a great extended family out here, and you know, if we've got working bees, renovations,
Yeah,
you know, we'll have friends, family, customers, clients, you know, flipping sausages on a fundraising day, running around, you know, painting, renovating, like that. We appreciate that from the clients and customers, and we try to look after them too. It's a two-way.
Yeah, and you know, it's back to being a decent human. So Dan Rhodes has gone to St. Mary's Days, and then Ink Moto's gone, and you've supported local high schools as well. So what's with that one?
Oh, we've done like an industrial arts program where the students have to design and develop like a remote control vehicle to do obstacle courses, and so. And I got approached by one of the teachers who knows me, and I thought it was a good cause because you know, the kids that were doing it in their own time, in lunch out of school, and it's like a national challenge, and they couldn't get funding, so we jumped aboard and helped them out with that. Like, you do what you can, and so we've done all kinds of stuff. We've got like this down in the studio here. We've got this, you know, wall of glory with all the newspaper cuttings and presentations and all that kind of stuff. And it's nice to have a look at it every now and then.
Mate, while you're at it, if you want to, before I go into the next sort of round of question, next one I'm going to ask you about joining the PTAA and you know, and your journey to being sort of president now and all the government stuff. Any chance, Mooney, you can just give us a quick walk around the studio over to that wall of fame?
Yeah, I'm not real good on these things, but I suppose I turn it around, do I?
Yeah.
We'll give you a bit of an idea. That's Coop's weird corner over there.
Amazing.
Yeah, all my skulls. Vinny's, Josh works there.
Yeah.
Shadowfax Tattoo Brook works there. Tom Baker works there.
Yep.
Down here, LED works down here. Charlotte works here. But yeah, here's bit of an idea, you know, some of our group photos.
Yep.
Magazine articles.
Yep.
You know, weddings. All kinds of stuff here.
Yeah, it'd be fair to say it's like the Crossbones and associated crews.
All good fun.
Yeah, a very tight-knit family. And you can understand why, like I can understand why you've got such a loyal support base as well. And, you know, it's good. Share the love. Yeah,
it's, like I say, we're trying to invest in the West out here. So, you know, a lot of our crew live locally, own their homes or are running their homes. Their children are going to school here. You know, so we're trying to sort of foster that and get a long relationship with the artists as well, and sort of build something secure, because the industry has been in the past a bit transient, a bit all over the place.
Yep.
Security wasn't always there. So.
Yeah, mate. Well, actually, I'll come back to the PTAA stuff. So, like, I've always, you know, we've had many chats over the years about the industry and stuff, and like, I think you're so progressive with your thinking, and you know, and it shows with your shop. So, especially with Guerrilla Art Society, it's from my understanding, it's like somewhere like a bit of a, for artists that work there, it's a middle ground between opening your own shop and renting a space. Would that be correct?
Yeah, it is. you know, there's artists that are relying on bread and butter walk-in tattoos to pay their mortgages and feed their children. But
Yep.
there's guys and girls out there that have 3 months or more worth of pretty solid bookings, and they may only want to come in and do that tattoo and then leave.
Yep.
So that's exactly what it is. At Guerrilla Art Society, the artists there rent a space for a nominal. Obviously, there's, it's licensed, it's insured, it's inspected, autoclaves validated, everything's there. But they provide their own furnishings, stuff like that. So they come and go as they please. They all have their own keys. They take on, reject. They can charge whatever their rate is.
Yep.
Where a convention sort of has a standard rate.
Yep.
As people's career progresses, and they want to, find a better balance. A lot of tattooers don't want to spend 15 hours a week doing bass, build. They've already got to do stuff. They don't want to worry about the studio stuff. So we take care of all that, and they just come and go and do their work and create good.
That's one of the, the things I love. Like, under the umbrella of your studios, you've got people coming in as an apprentice, like, and then you can build up. You can build from your walk-in trade to building a clientele to getting to a point of like, do I go somewhere else? Do I open my own shop? Or then you've got this outlet for them as well, which is sort of, they don't have all that financial pressure and stress of all those other amazing things we have to deal with. So it's good, and I know you've been sort of, not prototyping is not the word, but you've been doing this sort of space rental for a few years, or trialing it and fine tuning it. And I can see now that Guerrilla Art Society is the culmination of all of those things together.
It works really well for some artists, but other people it doesn't, and they all, they won't put in the work. They won't put in because you give them, some people, you give them too much freedom. They're letting down their clients. They're running off path. They're losing focus. It won't work for those people, but for the people that are strong, dedicated, and understand what they need to do, they can be really successful and strive forward.
Yeah. I'm gonna run through some comments here quickly. Sorry, mate, if I cut you off. Huge. This is from Out of the Mud. Huge respect to the work, each and every single one of you supporting the locals. Lord Besington, Gemmo Crossbones was in a commercial area. Who and what were they complaining about? Yeah, it's a shitty one, that one. And Bella, Mooney's been tattooing me since the home studio. He's the best. I didn't realise, I can't pronounce this one. I didn't realise the tiger shoot made the wall. And then YEWK3, Mooney, what were the artists that inspired you when you were coming up?
But before I was tattooing, it was honestly Australian Tattoo Magazine. That was the main one. The European mags and that weren't strong when I started. So it was like a tattoo mag. So, you're looking at Pete Davidson, you're looking at Little Mick, you're looking at Arm, sort of 90s period when and then a lot of other magazines come along, and then I suppose eventually, you hit the internet, and then, wow, everything's there. But like I said, from my childhood, I'd witnessed Tony's work, I'd witnessed Alex Chader's work. At Liverpool, I've seen that much of Dutchy's stuff, Bob Wood stuff as well. Like I worked with a few older guys. One was good mates with Bob, and we used to go to his house as well.
Amazing.
So
I was asking Oh, sorry, mate. I was asking Dean the other night about Bob. Like, can you tell some stories of Bob when you, because I know you told me you had access to a lot of the flash back in the day, or it was shown to you.
Yeah, but he wouldn't sell me, one or two sheets of flash, and they were all masonite mounted. Yep. Big ones on masonite. He wanted to sell me the whole lot.
Yeah, wow.
Another thing people don't know about Bob, his model boats were handmade wooden scale boats in cabinets.
Yep.
I had a tiny little lathe and some basic rudimentary tools in that shed.
Yep.
But what he was producing, like some of these wooden timber vessels, there's thousands and thousands of hours in them, I don't know where they are or whatever, but,
Yeah, fastidious man.
Ingenuity with machines, like I know when I went into the workshop, in one drawer there was gramophone clockwork springs. In another one there was flat torsion bars from electric trains. That's where all the springs. It was pretty
amazing. Well, what we're going to do from Bob, because he was one of the early members of the PTAA. I think there's a photo going around. You've got Dave Rand, Max Chater, I think Wally Hammond, Tony Cohen, Bob Woods there, Vic Farr, probably forgetting a few, but yeah, a few others. And they were like the guys that formed the New South Wales branch of the PTAA. So, like, when did you first join? And then you sort of evolved over the years to being state rep, and then now to president.
Yeah, when I first joined, like I said, looking at the Australian scene through magazines, I'd seen and I'd attended a couple of shows at Milperra, the Deepwater Yacht Club there.
Yep.
This is post Lone Wolf Sydney Tattoo Show. So I had an interest, and these were all the people I looked up to. In my opinion, if you weren't in the PTAA, you were nothing. You weren't one of the. So that's
I think it was definitely a badge of honour. Like, I joined it in Melbourne, and the vetting process was quite rigorous compared to now, because you've got to evolve with the times. But it definitely, if you're a member of the PTAA, you felt like you'd achieved a certain level of professionalism and acceptance.
Yeah, when I joined, it was pretty daunting because I didn't know anyone personally. And when I turned up with photos of my work to be scrutinized, I had John Allen at the table, Max Chater at the Craig, I think at the time, was the state rep, and I was tattooing with 3-round liners and 7-round shader, 14-round shader. That was it, sort of thing. And and my work was scrutinized by people that had been tattooing already 20 and 30 years.
That
was pretty daunting, and that's how I got an in. And then I started to meet these guys and girls, and really, really interesting, really good, a good sense of community, belonging, and a good way to meet people, share ideas, and express your ideas too.
Yeah, everyone's there for the greater good of tattooing, and doing what they can for Sydney, basically, in New South Wales. So I remember we used to come out, pre-COVID, there used to be, quite a few meetings. We'd have some in the city. A lot used to be out at St. Mary's, like once a month. And, you'd get a good turnout. I think New South Wales would be the strongest for members of the PTA, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, at the moment it definitely is. But this COVID things, it stopped us having little shows. Just to have a meeting's difficult. It slowed us up. A lot more people are coming on board. Facing a lot of change in the industry, and the government's, trying to move in their own direction. Sometimes it's not the way we want things, and we have to be able to voice our opinion. There's a sort of reoccurring thing in the industry where, licensing comes in, and everybody goes, "Oh, boo, hiss, what are you doing about that?" Well,
Yeah.
I say, "Well, what are you doing about it?"
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
are you going to help or are you just going to whinge? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, with human nature, most people are happy to let others do the heavy lifting until it actually affects them. But you know, the PTAA's got a great history of it. Like when the AIDS epidemic came out, consulted with the New South Wales Health Department, brought out like brochures and pamphlets. You know, like I think Max and some other members helped write the health code back in the day. So it is one of those things that you've got to do it. And you know, thankfully now the membership is growing. And also, like I've got here, before I couldn't get you online, this is a tap chat from 91. And I'm lucky enough, I've got every issue of it. So with your membership as well, you're getting something. Oh, there we go. Who's that dude on the front cover? Mate. So, yeah, with Moony moving on to become national president of the PTAA, I've been very fortunate enough to be voted in to become the state rep. And my responsibilities are to, when we can, schedule meetings, all this sort of stuff, even be a liaison. So if you're any artists out there, you've got any questions on the PTA, how to join, or you want to use me as a reference point, please get in contact. If there's anything that I don't know, I'll either ask Moony or Chris or any of the other members. And, you know, we're all in this together. But with the licensing group, we've had quite a few good get-togethers. We've had our Christmas parties at one of those pubs in Newtown. We ended up back at Todd's shop. We had an AGM at Little Tokyo a few years ago. So there is a good community spirit.
Especially
And
Basin, there's a lot of guys and girls, young and old, that bluntly give a fuck about tattooing.
yeah,
And so a lot of our get-togethers are social, but there's some
yeah,
pretty big issues out there, and they get put on the table too. So when we do present our membership to government or whatever, you know, it's important that we're putting the right message across. Not like as committee members of the PTAA, we represent the membership, not our own ideals.
yeah,
You know, I'd say to people, get on board, join an industry association, pay your dues, because when somebody has to be sent interstate to fly to sit in Parliament and waste a day, you know, we don't costing us money. You get a pretty certificate, you get a quarterly little magazine, and you get the chance to have your say and get involved. I think it's a good thing, and we're much more powerful, you know, as a bigger collective.
yes.
We don't have to tattoo the same. We don't have to draw the same. We don't have to like each other.
Yeah.
You need to give a shit and where it's going.
Yeah. It's not a popularity contest. It's just, let's fight for tattooing. Like, you know, in the last, you know, even in the last year, like, we've obviously had always the ongoing licensing issues, but then, you know, I think you and Chris went to Queensland for the ink situation that was going on up there.
Yep, the pigments, so forth.
Yep.
See, there's people in government, people in the health department, they believe they're on the right track and they're doing something to improve or to improve standards or industry, but quite often it's just a hindrance. Sometimes it's for the better and we can easily assist them. So it's be that point of contact, and, you know, we can sort of try to shift it backwards and forwards. With the licensing shoved down our throat with no consultation.
And we're still waiting for this review and all the rest of it. And, you know, and even then, like, same to an extent with the Queensland ink stuff. But, you know, on a different note, I know, you know, the last lockdown we had like over a year ago was 10 weeks. So, you know, everyone just, you know, we just go along, and then you guys were engaged with the government on how to come back to work. Like, we have to put forward like a safe work practice plan to be like ticked off by the powers that be.
Yeah, Chris and myself over that period did a lot of online study, a lot of talk with talking backwards and forwards, and a lot of looking what was going on around the world with COVID in relation to health and beauty and tattooing to come up and formulate something to put to government. And Chris is quite the academic. He's very clever, on point. And, you know, we managed to come up with a one-pager that as soon as it was fielded, accepted, and we're back to work. But, you know, it's been thrown in the bin now. We were masks and we were, you know, abiding by the square metre rule, and we had QR codes in our industry long before a lot of retail and stuff had it going on. So we're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, you're dealing with like the bigger issues, like, you know, with the whole licensing thing, you know, like tattooing is no longer like a cottage industry. It is huge. It is as mainstream as it gets. It's, you know, if you look at it like, you know, like whether it be like building Harleys or street machines or surfing or whatever, all of these small niche industries are now massive, and tattooing is exactly the same. So we're coming under the scrutiny of these governing bodies. And like you said, they try and do what they think is the right thing. Sometimes they just do it without any industry consultation. And yeah, it's you know, industry bodies' jobs to try and keep as even a playing field as we can. And if you're an artist out there listening and you don't want to be directly involved, or you may be a bit shy, or you just got other things on your mind, you know, your involvement will be helped by joining, whether it be the PTAA, the New South Wales, Queensland Facebook group, you know, or the Tattooist Guild. And I'm sure something else will come up in the future. So just help those that are trying to help you. So on that, do you think this time around, when they roll out this return to work thing, we're going to have to renegotiate?
In regard to COVID practices, probably no, because we're
good
up there, and it's very, very clear what's required. You know, we'll be back to masks on. I could nearly guarantee that.
For sure.
You know, and back to all the no spectators. You know, the standard sort of procedure I've spoken with before. I think it's good if everyone's prepared to step straight back into that. We're trying to liaise, Chris and myself are liaising with government on these issues, and potentially financial assistance. Chris recently. So,
that'll be a good one. I've got Chris on this coming Friday, and I sort of specifically manoeuvred him into that slot because this is going to be an interesting week ahead for us all. You know, not just tattooing, but so many other industries, you know, out there in New South Wales where, you know, there's no JobKeeper anymore, there's no rent reduction. All of these follow-on effects are going to have, you know, a compounding effect on the return to work. So hopefully, you know, we can get some good questions, and Chris will have some answers, you know, for us this Friday.
Yeah, Chris is very knowledgeable, and he knows how the political system works, how to manoeuvre in that world, which, you know, not many tattooists can do that, and that's why he's a good man to have on our team. You know.
He's comes from like a strong lineage. You know, both his mum and dad, Dave and Sue Rand, you know, hold tattooing dearly to their heart, and he's definitely one of the good guys.
Yeah, and you've seen his Karen and the girls are all down there. Oh,
mate, third generation, yeah,
that's special too.
100%. Speaking of that, we've got like 5 or 6 minutes left. So people keep asking, what's the deal with these $5 bills on the roof?
If you ask about it, you have to put one there.
Oh, there you go. All right, I owe you $5 then. I'll put 5 on it.
Apparently, inflation piece. It's called art. You know? So when the air conditioner's on, it gets a nice like.
Oh, nice. The sound of money. So Chris has just jumped in. We're making him nervous, mate. You'll be right, dude. You've spoke in front of like parliamentary committees, mate. You know, you're just going to have people here that are interested and love you and want to ask questions and, you know, have a good time. So anything that you want to talk about, Mooney, specifically in these final minutes?
Mate, everybody, you know, it's time for unity across the industry. Full
Yep.
stop. Yeah, we don't need to be in each other's back pockets or draw the same pictures
No.
if you're in the job, you know, you're doing the right thing. It's time to stand up and help each other.
Yep.
Tattooing's not the game it used to be, where, you know, you wouldn't talk to the guys up the road, you know, let alone buy them a beer or show them, you know, how you make your needles.
Yep.
Times have changed, and yeah, I think it's time for everybody step up,
Yep.
and get on board, because I can predict this is going to get pretty deep and affect us all. The outcome of this licensing system, it's not finished, and we're going through a transition where all the responsibility is going over to the police commissioner, whereas before they were only doing the security determinations. And in the same token, government's trying to streamline a lot of the renewal processes and so forth, to be automated, and that's going to come too. So everything's going to get up, and I can guarantee you that everybody's going to be upset about the change. So it's time to get on board and do something about it.
Yeah. No, 100%. And speaking of change, like Max has just jumped in. Like, mate, if Max is commenting on Instagram, you know, people can join. Max was the president of the PTAA for forever and a day, and he put in so much good work in the past. So I'm going to just show something here. I've been painting this for you, Max, based on an old Percy Waters one. But hopefully, Max, now that you're on Instagram Live and you're watching, I want to get you on in the next week or two. So
Max got plenty.
Yeah, Max has seen the full spectrum of tattooing change. So it's going to be good. What else did I want to say, Mooney? Yeah, I was going to say, Max, apart from that, anything else you want to chat about?
Not really. Just, yeah, if you're out west, whatever, when we get back to work, pop in.
Yep.
My guys are a lovely crew.
Yep.
Pop in, say good day, and check it out.
Yeah. On a different note, with Guerrilla Art Society, have you got space there for like an art show sort of thing?
Yes, that was the thing. When we lost Crossbones, we lost a gallery space.
Yeah.
So Guerrilla, I've got a nice big open atrium with plenty of wall space where we can function. So if you want to, once we can get back to work, if you want to hold some PTAA meetings and socials, we can do one at mine. We can do yours, or if you ever want to pop in space, whatever.
100%. What about we even do, because I know we've briefly talked over the time of doing like a PTA art show. So what about we try and get it going? We do, once, you know, restrictions return to some sort of normality, we do one out at you one night and then one with me the next night, and just swap all the art over, and, you know, and maybe just run some meetings there as well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think it'd be a good thing. We could maybe raise a little bit of money to get together the plaques and so forth for the Australian Tattoo Hall of Fame.
Yep.
That's something that we've been working on the last few years. It'd be nice to have on a board and that made up, and we've got committee approval to do it. Maybe we can get everyone to paint a picture, an original.
Yep.
Or have a couple of prints or something, and go from there.
Let's do it. Yeah, Excellent. It'll be good. And maybe at the start we can do for the artist, do an hour meeting before it, and then, you know, everyone's welcome.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've just got someone asking, can you, as we finish up, Mooney, just let us know where your shops are and the best way to get in contact?
Yeah, all the normal social media, telephone, Crossbones Gallery, Penrith. We've got Death or Glory, Queen Street, St Mary's, and Guerrilla Art Society is on Belmore Street, right near the train station at Penrith. So we're all close, and we're a strong little community between our studios and a lot of the other local artists at other places too. You know, we're quite social and whatever. Get out and say good day.
Yeah, amazing. Well, mate, we'll finish up now, but thanks so much for tonight, Moony. Like, the amount, I'm sure you can see on your side, the amount of love hearts coming through and comments is a testament to, you know, to the love for you and your crew.
Just thanks to you, Rhys. You know, this has been a bit of a morale boost for the local industry. I appreciate what you're doing, mate, and it's good to bring everyone in. A bit of respect to the past, and you know, look where we're going, and check out all the young kids as well. So I think it's a really good thing you're doing, mate. Keep it up.
Yeah, no, thank you, mate. It's good. It's hopefully it'll go somewhere. Like, obviously this thing's going to extend. I've got the next week booked up, and pretty much half of the one after. So I'm just going to keep rolling with it, mate. The 7:30 report, and you know, just a bit of lighthearted support Sydney and New South Wales, and hear some good stories, and you know, see where it goes.
Right. Thanks very much, mate. We'll catch up very soon.
Yep. All right. Awesome, mate. Love you, and I'll chat to you soon.
Thanks, everyone, for
hey, buddy.
having a look.